Oh my. Oh my.
You are now tuned in to the Revolution Radio Show.
Yo, what it is and what it do. You're officially tuned into the Revolution Radio Show on 102.3 FM, KCAA in the Inland Empire, worldwide on the NBC Radio Network and on the iHeartRadio app. As always, I'm your man's J Love, aka Uncle Jiggy. I'm always joined by that dude, the statesman himself, Mr. Farron. How are you doing, sir?
Man, I'm good today. How's everybody on this Saturday?
Fantastic, man. Fantastic. And we also have with us the lovely, the wonderfully brilliant Miss Intern Lillian. How are you doing?
Hello, everybody. It's a great day, and just remember to hydrate, drink water.
Look at that with the little safety tips. It is Saturday. And I don't know about you guys, but I've been noticing the weather's starting to like kind of chill a little bit.
Yeah.
Like not crazy, but it's a little bit nippy in the morning, a little bit nippy at night. Like it's not as hot. Like I can't wait for hoodie weather. I love hoodies.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice.
Because I got a lot of cool hoodies, man, and I like to rock my hoodies. I don't want it cold though. Like I don't want like Wisconsin.
You don't want hoodies and glove weather?
No, I don't want like North Dakota, none of that stuff. But I do like that nice like 70, you know what I mean? Nice enough to wear a hoodie, but it's not, the sun is still out and I don't know, man. Maybe I'm picky or bougie or something, but that's what I'm feeling. I know we have a lot going on right now a lot to talk about, like a lot. But I have to say this, with everything going on in the world, right? And I'm sure I don't even know what Lillian is going to bring up to us, but I know at some point this whole vaccination, whatever, all I want to say is this: can we stop gangbanging? Okay, like it's that people throwing up the V's and the and then NVs and I'm not vaccinated. I am. Like, can we just stop gangbanging? That's all I'm asking. Why do you keep doing it like heroin?
That's what they did in the video.
Yeah, you know what? Speaking of that video, we might have to go back. But anyways, Intern Lillian, what are we talking about today?
So I wanted to take it on a global perspective for this first one and talk about the huge news of the Taliban and how they have seized power in Afghanistan 2 weeks before the U.S. was completed to troop withdrawal. So it's been all over the news and all over social media, people posting about it. They stormed across the country, capturing all major cities in just a matter of days. So that was a big thing. Now,
Farhan, I definitely want to get your take on this because you're military, right? Mm-hmm. But I have to say this. I just really believe, right? And unlike most of the people that I see on social media, I'm not an expert on foreign policy. Okay, I'm just gonna throw that out there. I know that a lot of people got their degrees in foreign policy, like in the last 4 days, right? There's a lot of degrees out there. Apparently, people went from vaccine and infectious diseases experts to foreign policy experts. Right, it's astonishing to me how
everybody is just an expert in everything. Once COVID hit, like I know everything now.
Yeah, but I will say this: that country specifically has had a very long history, well over 100 years, of not being able to be dominated by superpowers, by giant regimes, whether it was the British Empire, the Russians, and now the Americans, right? It has a history of like just not wanting to, and I'm gonna use this word, submit, right? And so my only beef without, because obviously we don't know the details, right? None of us know the details, okay?
Mhm.
But the only thing, and this is based on my understanding, maybe Farron, you know something I don't know, maybe Lillian, you read something that I haven't read. The only beef that I have, because here's the truth, this was doomed to happen whether we left today, tomorrow, a year from now, 2 years ago. This was going to happen. The moment we withdrew, the Taliban was going to take over. So let's get that straight, right? My only beef is if it is true that there was no pre-advanced warning for our allies there and like for the Americans to get out, right? Because I've heard conflicting stories. But if it is true that we just left those people who worked for us, like, oh, you on your own, yo, that's foul. That's foul. But if we did say it, again, according to one report that I saw, and you know, because all you got to do is this, like, yo, Jay, just so you know, I know you work in accounting in the office. The military's pulling out in 2 weeks. Oh, word. Okay, cool. I'm gonna leave tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to tidy up my desk. I don't need to finish these reports. Because 2 weeks could mean 3 days. So yeah, I'm good. You know what? We'll figure it out when I'm back in California. You know what I mean? It's really simple to me. So, but I'm just gonna say that, you know, that region of the world and specifically that country, either we only had two choices: stay there forever, right? Stay there forever, or this was the inevitable. I mean, and again, Farron, you know more than I do because you're former military. Can you expound on this?
Yeah, well, the one thing I won't do is I won't speak for the military. However, as you said that, you know, first of all, this world is controlled by dominance anyway, intimidation. That's how this whole United States was created. And so military wise, when I was serving, you know, there is an exit plan. You do look for the risk factors, the preparation, like all that. And I just can't believe that the United States would just forget about the agreements that they made to take care of the people who work for us and supported us that were from there. So that part, I don't know what his staff was thinking, or they didn't look at that part of the plan of the promises that were agreed upon. If there were, that, hey, if you support us and take care of us, you know, we will move you to the United States and take care of your family, as they did for Vietnam. That's how a lot of the Vietnamese came here, is because they supported us and we took care of them. So I don't see how that was not part of the plan. And as you said, you know, as soon as you leaked that we about to get out of here, somebody was going to tell somebody anyway. So it was like,
Right.
There's no way around that the Taliban was going to be like, oh, we didn't know that they were leaving. Nah, like there's so much. There's, like you said, centuries and centuries that this has been going on. And for me, I'm just shocked that there was not a plan to take care of those people ahead of time versus now after the fact. So I don't see that.
Now, I might sound a little bit Republican in this statement, what I'm about to say, but this is just from what I've seen. Again, I know there's many sides to every story, but for the Afghan army to simply lay down their arms, like not fire a single shot, you don't want that country. That's how I look at it. Like, y'all good with the Taliban being there. Because if I really believed, and I don't doubt that the Taliban are tyrants, like that's a 100% fact, right? It's a 100% fact. I'm fighting you to the death for my daughters, for my mothers, for my neighbors, for, you know what I mean? Like, y'all ain't just coming up in here. We have we're American backed. We got all them weapons. And again, you the military guy. Tell me, am I tripping?
No. So let's go. Can we go to the Bible for a second?
Yeah,
David and Goliath.
Okay.
Remember, before David stood up, they were all warriors, but they did not move because they were afraid of what that giant was saying. So their words was strong enough to make them forget, oh shoot, I'm a soldier, I should be fighting for, you know, this in this war, but they didn't. So so what I'm saying is, what I'm pointing to is the Taliban. They're known for what they've done in the past in their history. So just them saying that, "Oh, we coming for y'all," is enough for them to be like,
Life miserable for
am I a
them.
soldier? Like, I'm questioning my soldierhood now. Like, am I a soldier? Like, I don't want to stand up against them. So you have to look at, the history and the power of the word and what they're capable of. It could like David was like, nah, I got this dude with a slingshot. Nah. So the words and what that Taliban has, the fear of just saying that is enough for them to be like, oh shoot, nah, I ain't trying to defend him. I'm trying to get out of here, yo. They crazy. Like, I'm out of here.
But it's some
trauma that they've carried throughout the years.
Yeah, so
there before, it's like
I'm
just
out.
installed into them, so they're just like, okay, don't mess with them. Just follow what they're doing.
They torture folks, bro. They behead folks.
Yeah, so you're gonna have to kill me, cause like, look, maybe listen, maybe I'm cut from a different cloth, but if I have any sort of, and from my understanding, because I've been really trying to learn more about like Afghanistan and what the situation is, like from my understanding, they don't have a lot of what we would call national pride, right? Because it's a lot of tribes, right? So like regionally, like this tribe is in this region, this tribe. So like as a collective, they're not like, yeah, go Afghanistan. They're not really like that. They're more like for their tribes in their region. So it's hard to kind of get them all on one page.
They're not united. Right? Yeah, they're not united as well.
So that was interesting to find out. But just also like, if I know, like I understand their culture is different, right? I understand that by and large, even the ones who quote unquote were okay with women working and, you know what I mean, like women, having some rights, they still were embedded within a culture that women weren't valuable. You know what I'm saying? Like, so within that, like
a lot of people are fearing right now that they are going to go back into those ways and make those laws really strict again, and where women can't go to the schools, they have to cover up. But I mean, they have stated and promised that they are going to respect the women's rights and forgive those who fought against them and prevent Afghanistan from being used as a base for terror attacks. But I mean, a lot of Afghanistans are not believing the Taliban for promising all those things, and they're just trying to get out of there as quick as they can. And that's what happened at the Kabul airport. Did you hear about that event?
Yeah. Which one? Which event?
No, the one where the plane took off and the bodies was just a couple bodies fell off the side of the plane.
Yeah. So the U.S. troop jets were taking off, and people were just so desperate to go with them that they were clinging onto the edges of the jet, and just like while they're taking off, they were just falling into their deaths, and people were like pleading and just giving their babies to the military and their children, just like to take them with them. And like you can even see in photos like people passing it over like I think it's like the little border of the airport or something.
For me, is as a statesman and caring about the next generation, that's where my heart is. Where are those children? Where are those children going to be in the next 40 years, in the next 35 years? That's the future of that country, man.
Look, that country still lives 100. Like if you look at Afghanistan, it's like stepping into time 100 years ago, right? Like that's what's going to happen. Like, unfortunately, like, look, I'm going to say something politically incorrect, but it is what it is. I'm going to say, and I'm not even going to say Islam, just Islam, but extremism, period. Right, especially when it comes to religion. Extremism is absolutely insane because people are okay. Very small segments are okay with things being ridiculously distorted based on ideals from hundreds, sometimes even thousands of years ago, right? Like literally, man, it is absolutely insane for you to think that it is okay. And look, I don't want to say I got Muslim friends. I don't even want to go there because I hate them. I got black friends. But forget it. I mean, let's keep it 100, man. If men had to wear burqas, would we be cool with it? the full-on burqas and hijabs and all of that, would we be cool with it?
If it's part of your culture, you become cool with it. If that's ingrained in your attire.
Men, come on, dog. Men, we by nature want to rebel against anything that's restrictive.
Well, that's the control by dominance. That's how we're created, from the subconscious mind, from the soul.
No, man. Listen, I just think that like
nobody wants to be dominated.
Here's the truth. This is my personal opinion, and again, I keep referring to you because you're the military dude. I personally believe we did it this way so that there could be this big outcry. Here's my little conspiracy theory. That there be this outcry so that we can now re-invade. Because you know why? War is good for the economy.
You know, globalization has so many different sections in it. And 50 years ago, we didn't have what went on in other countries. This wouldn't have been on the internet like that. So this whole computerized globalization conversation that we get to find out as soon as something happens in another country is right here on my phone, and then I get my opinions about it. So again, it's too many layers to it to kind of just say this is what it is. There's so many dynamics,
different biases as well, who are like putting all of that into the news, and then that's what we see.
Exactly.
So it could be a whole different side of the story. Like, I mean, I'm not sure exactly like why they wanted to take over again and all that, but I don't even know if these promises are true.
Because that's what bullies do. They wanted it because that's what bullies do.
Like, they will keep those promises, but at least
control by dominance.
Right. We can go on and on for that. What
all the sports? No, just look at most of the stuff that we deal with: football, baseball, all the sports is you control by dominance. That's what our mentality is. And super countries like the United States, that's what we do. We bully, we control by dominance until something like this happens, and then it's like, oh shoot,
right, because it's patriarchal imperialism.
Yeah,
right?
We got to go back, and we forgot to bring them back with us. Yeah, right.
Again, man, like, look, I don't know why people are shocked. To be honest with you. Like, I don't know why people are shocked because of the history of the U.S. Like I said, the only thing that did surprise me a little bit was not even the people that helped us that are Afghani, because we're terrible that way, right? Like, we dog people out, right? Ask the natives, okay, about broken promises and all of that, right? But and I'm still waiting on my 40 acres and a mule. But like the fact that, like, wait, we left Americans? That's interesting, right? And then here's the crazy part. And this is why the internet is funny to me, because like I was reading stories like, some, a girl that was working in the office, she was a Christian. She got hung yesterday. And I'm like looking for it, like, where's, you know what I mean? Because when they do that, they be broadcasting videos or whatever, right? And I'm like, where do y'all get these stories from? Like, where do y'all get, like, I had other people like, someone at my church, they have a family member that's over there right now, and they text everyone their goodbyes, right? And I'm like,
what?
Yeah, like people are and again, I'm not saying it's not true, okay? Because I don't know. I'm not saying
to believe it, like, without the evidence.
Exactly. I'm not saying it's not true, okay? But I'm just saying, like, some of these you can't verify them. So if you can't verify them, how much, but I know you have to do those things to get people riled up, right? Get them riled up. And it gets into Biden sucks, and this one sucks, and that one, blah, blah. And then because of the vaccination, this is why this is happening, because they were going to try
my boy wouldn't have done that if he was still in office.
Yeah, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, oh, speaking of that, before we transition, I have to say this because I have to ask a question. We're almost at the end of August. So let me make sure this is on. Hello, testing 1 2 testing. We were informed back in June that by the My Pillow guy, Mike Lindell, okay, that in August Trump was going to be back in office.
I remember that.
Yes. So, Farhan, What's going on with your boy? Is he waiting till the 31st, or I'm confused? When
He's
is he
waiting to
going to be?
the 32nd.
I hope it's not the 31st because that's my birthday, so I don't want.
No, yeah, we consider your birthday, so the 32nd he gonna be back at the 32nd of August.
So and ladies and gentlemen, this would not have happened if Trump would have been in office. Okay, because
there is a lot of heat on Biden right now. I've seen so many news reports where, like, what is he going to do? He's not doing anything. You know, is he going to go out there and figure this out? Why are they leaving all these people who have been helping the U.S. military for many years and working with them? And it's just a lot of heat on him right now. And looking at him as, did we make the right choice as him as president? And it's just,
you know who's quarantining right now? You know who's quarantining right now? George W. Because George don't want to talk to nobody about, look, I got y'all in this war and it wasn't real. It wasn't, you know what I'm saying? I lied to all of y'all. So don't even come talk to me. Like, come on. This has been 4 different presidents, 4 different administrations. There was no, literally, it was either stay there forever.
As we normally do.
Right? Stay forever, or it was eventually, like, no matter when if you did this today, 2 weeks from now, a year from now, 2 years ago, this was going to happen, because there's a famous quote that came out from the Taliban, right? It said, you have the watches, but we have the time. They knew all they got to do is wait it out. Eventually, there won't be enough sentiment from the American people for you to stay. Right? That's because why are you there? Because they've been screaming at the last 3 presidents, when you gonna pull out the troops? 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 They've been screaming at them. Now they pulled out the troops.
And boom,
why'd you pull out the troops? You know what I mean? That's like being in a relationship and someone saying, I'm sick of you. I'm sick of you. I want to leave. I'm sick of you. And then you leave and they'll be like, why'd you leave? Well, you said you were sick of me. You wanted me to, you know what I mean? Like,
it's just,
yeah. I'm just saying, man, this, whatever. Afghanistan is in a whack place. They've been in a whack place forever.
The same brand new.
Yeah, it's not. And like, I feel terrible for the women and girls there, especially the ones that had a taste of some sort of freedom. That got to taste it. Like, man, I tasted it. I went to school. I got a job. I did some, you know what I mean? But
that trauma and everything is just coming back again, and it's just fear that is controlling them, and
the upset.
And here's the truth: it is not going to change unless it becomes the United States of Afghanistan. You know what I mean? Like, it's either going to become a United States territory, or it's going to be like that for the next 3, 4, 5,000 years. Let's be real, because unless someone, because they've already proven they will, a superpower can come in and they're not going to be able to. They've tried, the British Empire tried, the Russians are brutal. They're not even like us. Like, we try to be nice and politically correct, and we try to, you know what I'm saying? Like, we hide our dirt. Russians don't care. Like, Russians will torture people and do things, right? The Russians couldn't.
You bring back all the memories, mama memories. I can't take it.
I'm just saying, the Russians couldn't dominate. You feel me? The Russians couldn't dominate. So, like, no one is going to go in there. The only people who maybe could dominate because they're gangsters is China. Right? Because they don't got the same rules of engagement that we do.
I want to say something, but I can't say it.
Why you can't say it? This is the Revolution Radio Show. We say whatever we want.
You know, we used to say that the next time we build another globe map, that wouldn't be, they wouldn't take that part out. take that part out. That part.
Look, man. Look. What's the next story, Lillian? What's the next story?
Please go.
On some lighter and happier news, Toys R Us is back.
What?
They're making a comeback after Macy's came in.
I don't have to grow up
and save them. They had been trying to rebuild their empire for the last 3 years. And so now there will be over 400 department stores by next year.
I don't have to grow up. I could still be a Toys R Us kid, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I gotta throw this in. Okay, this is
coming up soon.
Speaking of children, R. Kelly. You like that transition, right?
Oh God.
Yeah,
From Toys R Us to R. Kelly.
About that too.
Because he didn't want to grow up. He wanted to be a Toys R Us kid. Okay, so go ahead and what was your thing on R. Kelly? Sorry, and I'll jump on there.
Or, it's okay. You can go first. I'll let you direct this one.
Well, okay, so Kales, aka Kales, aka the Pied Piper, which is a funny
12 play.
If you really understand who the Pied Piper was. Anyways, so they had the first day of trial, the very first day, and after the very first day, if I was R. Kelly, I would have just shot myself in the face somehow, because they talked about his marriage to Aaliyah, right? At the time, he was 29, and she was 14 when they first, and 15 when they got married, but I guess 14 when they first started dabbling. And so what came out was that the reason they got married was because she had gotten pregnant, and he needed to marry her so that she couldn't testify against him in court, because obviously
because you're not allowed to testify.
Have sex with, that's statutory rape. You know what I mean? So he bribed someone, a court official, to get her a fake ID, right? Or and to say she was 18. The marriage was annulled a year later. But the point is that just that one thing, right? I remember vaguely hearing that Aaliyah had gotten pregnant, but for it to actually be verified that Aaliyah had gotten pregnant, she obviously was forced to, or I'm assuming forced to, have an abortion. But she was 14 when she got pregnant.
Wow.
Oh, right. Like that alone. And I will say this, and I've said this every time I talk about R. Kelly, right? I don't understand how he's still alive, because for all of these young girls, many of whom had fathers or brothers, if you touch my daughter, okay, we're not making it to court. You know what I'm saying? In the words of one of my favorite artists out right now, try Jesus, don't try me, because I throw hands. Okay, let me repeat that. Try Jesus gonna turn the other cheek. Don't try me, because I gets down. Understand what I'm saying?
It's a tough verse.
I'm just saying, I don't understand how you can violate someone's daughter. Give you an example real quick. That on the documentary Surviving R. Kelly, they showed some of the parents that were knocking on the door of his house. They knew somebody was home, right? But they could, because people was peeking out the window, right? But no one will open the door. You know what would have happened in the documentary if I was in that documentary and it was my daughter, sister, niece, whatever? They would have came with the cameras. The house would have been on fire. I said, I don't know what happened. I walked up and the house was on fire. Everybody came running outside, though. They all ran outside because the house was on fire.
And flew out towards him.
You feel what I'm saying? Like, you not gonna, like, you think a locked door is gonna keep me? You really think a locked door is gonna keep me? Like, you lock the door and no one's answering.
The money's gonna keep it.
What money?
Come on,
what
man.
money? I'm not a pimp, homie. You can't prostitute my daughter. I don't even got a daughter and I'm frustrated. You know what I mean? I'm mad right now trying to kill people and I don't even got a daughter. You can't pay me enough money. Like, I know the little girl that was on the tape, right? The little girl that on the infamous, the original, because now there's many tapes out apparently that are about to be exposed in court. But the original little girl on the tape.
More evidence with like a T-shirt and like his semen on there too. So there's just like pinpoint evidence towards him. So it's about to go down in that court.
Look,
for the better.
You know what he needs? He needs another hit record. Because apparently hit records will keep you free.
That's like I said, that entertainment world.
And look, listen, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. See, I know a lot of people try to front. I'm gonna be honest. I'm guilty because I listened to R. Kelly for years. For years after, like, I remember when the tape came out, and I remember going, "Oh, that's crazy." Step in the name of love. You know what I mean? Like, step, side to side. Like, I love R. Kelly music.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? I love R. Kelly music. And so I remember going to R. Kelly concerts. Like, that was one of the greatest concerts I ever been to, right? No, the tape had been out. The Aaliyah stuff, I'm old enough to remember when, because I had a crush on Aaliyah and the whole Aaliyah thing. And like, man, I loved Aaliyah, right? But all of us allowed this man, and more so the people around. Like, I think everyone that worked for him should go to jail too. Because again, if you stand by and watch a grown man, you know what I mean? And I understand things were different, like, because you have to, when we've talked about this before, Farhan, right? Like, where you have, like, things were different in the 80s, 90s, right? Like, I remember I graduated from high school in 93. Okay, whatever, people. But I remember dudes in their 20s coming and picking up their girlfriends at school. I mean, it was normal. It wasn't, the only thing I was pissed about was like, I can't compete with a dude with a job. You know what I'm saying? like how can I compete with that dude? He grown. Like, he grown and got a full-time job. You know what I'm saying? Like, how you compete with that? Right. So, but it was normal. Like, parents didn't trip, teachers didn't trip. Like, the dudes just come, especially the drug dealers. Like, it'd be grown drug dealers come and pick up girls at the high school. And it was like, it was no big deal. Right. And so I understand that at some point we didn't know any better. Okay. But there is a moment when, like, some of these testimonies, you see a dude put his hands on a little girl, right? When we're talking about the abuse, you see a dude put his, and it's clearly a little girl, and he put his hand and put it on any woman. But when he put his hand on a little girl, and because you getting a check, you like, oh, I gotta go get some coffee real quick. And
but Ark, he's not the first one though. This is why this.
Yeah,
this
there's
is
so
not
many
the first
celebrities.
time. That's why. Why are you shocked? This
you know what?
is
You're
not
right.
the first time.
You're right, because I'm not gonna say nothing about Elvis Presley marrying a 15-year-old Priscilla.
Exactly. It's what I'm saying. This is
Jerry
not
Lee
the
Lewis
first
marrying his
time.
14-year-old cousin.
It's just
That's
like so many people.
celebrity
Like,
status.
yeah, the status and like this field of power that just like they can get away with it because they have
And the
this
money.
going on, and the money, and like okay, this is blinding people from what they're really doing on the side. And it's just like, as long as there's another cool song like that goes out, then I'll be fine.
And deep down in the hearts of people, they like you just told those stories. They ain't too bad. They ain't too bad of a guy. I've seen worse.
Man, look,
Like, it doesn't
I've
get
seen worse.
as long as it crosses that line, then it's done. Like you're in that category of offenders.
South Carolina this week just finally amended their law. And here's what's funny to me. They amended the law that in South Carolina, the legal age to be able to get married up until this week was 14. Okay. Wow. They raised it to 16. Because they wanted to get away from the stigma of people down south getting married young and all of that, whatever, right? And because they're trying to get away from child brides. And I'm like,
okay, bump it up like just a couple more years, like
why not just 18? Just 18, why not
20?
But 21. But here's what's crazy. My auntie, my mama's sister, got married when she was 15. Okay, he was somewhere between 20 to 22. Okay, they are still together till this day.
Oh wow.
Okay, he's a Southern Baptist minister. You know what I mean? They've raised three daughters, several grandchildren. You know what I mean? It was like back then, like he literally came to my grandfather I'm exaggerating. I don't know if he gave him chickens or some goats. I don't eat, but I'm sure there was some sort of a dowry. You know what I mean? And my grandfather, because back then a woman's worth was her being like, "Ooh, now I don't gotta take care of you. This other dude gonna do it. Gone, girl, get married." Right? Because let's be real, we are just barely a generation removed from that being a reality.
Mm-hmm. My grandfather was only 40 years older than me. He was only 40 years older than me. So we're not far from that mindset at all.
Dude, it is. And like my grandfather, I think was 15, somewhere like 15 to 17 years older than my grandmother. You know what I mean? Like the thing, it just is what it is, man. Like, there's, he was a deviant for sure, right? And like you're saying, he wasn't the first. He was a deviant for sure. But this whole notion that older men and younger women has been in our patriarchal society has been a thing forever and ever, right? Because originally, right, if you really want to go back, women were getting married at 12 as soon as they had some birthing hips. So they used to say down south, she got some birthing hips.
But why are we not also concerned about R. Kelly and his traumas? Like, we don't care about that?
Because he's a dude.
We don't care about
no
the
one
stuff
cares
that he
about
suffered
God.
through as a
no
kid,
one cares.
and the
No
abuse
one
that he
cares.
suffered through.
No,
like we don't like
with that. It's usually said that people who become like the offenders have also been affected by that in their young childhood.
That's what I'm.
No,
so we don't care about that though.
He's talked about being molested and raped by a family member. So we already know, but nobody cares.
Yeah,
right.
We just don't glaze over that piece of it.
No, he's the big bad monster, right? And so, and again, I'm gonna say something unpopular, and then we could go on to the next thing. but at some point as well, because we've talked about this before, accountability and responsibility, right?
At the end of the day,
at some point, okay, if we are going to preach, especially in this country, that at 8 years old you're mature enough to make the decision to transition into another sex. Ouch. Did I go there? I'm sorry. Yeah. Is this on?
Yeah.
Then why at 14, 15, 16 years old are you not mature enough to make the decisions? Because apparently on one hand, you can make the decisions about your sexuality, but on the other hand, you can't. At what point do the girls take responsibility? And I'm not victim blaming at all. I don't believe in blaming the victim.
No.
But at some point, we have to take culpability for our decisions and for our actions, right? And so if at 5 years old, let's keep it 100, because there are cases that at 5 years old, a 5-year-old is able to make the decision that they want to transition into an entire another sex. I think that's a bigger decision. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe I'm an idiot.
Like, it's too many layers too, because like you said, the parents and the family members of those little girls that was involved with R. Kelly, they knew what was going on. There's no way that they was that naive.
We knew the stories. How you gonna say your daughter met R. Kelly and you good with it?
Yeah. Because that was 12, because of 12 play.
Because they didn't see nothing wrong. You know what I mean?
It kind of like what was interesting what Ron was saying, because that is a serious issue where like there are many people who are being affected at a young age and being sexually abused, and it is not taken care of mentally. So they end up growing up to be an offender themselves. And that's why we have so many incidents like this. And it's like, if you're not getting the help like as you're younger and tackling it then, it's like you never know what that could build up and grow into. And it's just like so many things could be resolved and not even happen in the future. But it's like,
listen, nobody gives a damn about R. Kelly. The dude didn't even know how to read. He was illiterate. What makes you think that they would care about any of his other traumas? You know what I mean? So here's the
But
truth.
that's at the core. That's at the core of society's issues.
Yeah, it's like
So just don't put him in jail. He goes to jail and put him in blah blah blah. But the dude's suffering just like everybody else. We all got a version of some issues that we're dealing with from young childhood that doesn't get worked out. And if it don't play out to the point where you get in front of the news and go to jail, it plays out in your relationships with folks. It plays out with how you view yourself. So he's not exempt. And my problem is you just can't overlook the stuff that he went through and just chalk that off as like, yeah, just put him in jail. He deserves it. Nah, it's way more deeper than that.
We can go on and on about this because there's so many layers to it.
I'm with you, Kales.
Wow, he just that was the statements made by Farron are not representative.
Man, it's suffering. That's not. It's for me. He's a human being, man, and he needs help. He needs just as much help as the people that he hurt.
So Farron is with Kales. I didn't say that. I know I say a lot of things. I didn't say I was.
Just step out.
Lillian, what else are we talking about so we can save this man? I feel the emails coming.
Yes. So moving on from topics, I would like to go from a human issue and mentally to more earth issue, and just such as global warming. So rainfall fell on the normally snowy summit of Greenland for the first time on record. So to understand how serious this is, there's always snow falling. For it to rain, that means the temperatures had to drop extremely and had to raise and warm up above the freezing point. And so this caused rivers along the Greenland areas, and it's melting. The ice is melting, and this is an issue with the global warming and how temperatures are rising, and that's a serious issue that needs to be solved.
Okay,
so the rain is a bad thing for there, right? The rain is a bad thing, what you're saying.
Yeah,
so
because it's supposed to be snowing and it's supposed to be ice, but now it's becoming rivers and water and moving, and so for that, if that could rise the sea levels, or that could come and flood other areas, that could unleash diseases and different things that were trapped in the ice. Like there's so many wide range of possibilities that could go wrong and things that could happen from just this occurring.
So let's be clear, at the Revolution Radio Show, we are non-biased, and we represent all points of view. Yeah. And global warming doesn't exist. Okay. Global warming is a conspiracy by the far left.
Climate change. I used the wrong term. It's climate change.
Climate change is a conspiracy from the far left.
It's climate change.
And Lillian is a hippie. She is not just a rockabilly. She's a rockabilly hippie. And so we want y'all to understand that we don't believe in science. Why are you laughing, man? This is serious. Okay. Jesus doesn't agree with science. Okay. Did you ever read that Jesus was a scientist? You didn't. Okay. It's not
There's
about
a lot of collaborations with the whole, Christianity and science nowadays. A lot of
don't bring all that blasphemy.
I'm gonna turn my mic off.
So
I just wanted to, say that, because when you think about buying your next car, maybe go for an electric one instead of that gas.
Oh, let's not go there, please.
Please, there's just so many little things that you can do throughout your day that can help.
I need a G-Wagon. Is there an electric G-Wagon?
Let's not go to electric. How we gonna go to electric cars when we're already having blackouts and they already killing power, and when it's too hot? Come on, that don't make no sense.
Solar, man. Solar.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Look, I watched a whole documentary yesterday about living off the grid. Okay. and being
That's very
completely.
surprising that you chose to watch on your Thursday.
Hey, listen, when I'm by myself, I nerd out.
Hmm.
And I watched the whole documentary on this entire community in New Mexico where it is self-sustaining and completely off the grid, right?
I can dig it.
And they like build houses out of tires
I can dig
and
it.
old bottles, and like basically it's like the way they were able to qualify this community is the community is on paper a trash heap, right? Because the houses are made out of recyclable.
Yeah, recycling to its finest. The
I
scenes.
can dig it. I can
You
dig
know,
it.
and so like even like they had this garden that like the entire thing was grown from their sewage that they funneled underneath the ground to irrigate and fertilize.
Wow.
So yeah, anyway, so
That's legit though. That's
yeah,
legit.
like it's crazy, and it's crazy because it makes you go, fascinating.
Mhm.
I don't necessarily like the design, but
But
cosmetically, you could do some things here, and this could be. But they were completely off the grid, completely 100%.
they had water. They had running
Yeah.
water.
Yeah, running water,
See,
and they have like all of the roofs were built in such a way that they collect rainwater, so the roofs naturally collect all the rainwater that falls.
And then they
recycle the water. They dug their own wells.
See what people can
that's
do
legit.
with your minds and
And one of the houses was worth $1.5 million. Like they put a value on it because I think it was like 7,000 square feet, which those of you who know anything about real estate, like that's a house. Like that's a house, 7,000 square feet. Like, because they wanted to show you could do this and have luxury, right? So they built that one specifically to show like we're not just hippies. Like you can actually do this and have luxury as well.
Hey, as long as I could take a shower and shave my head, I could live out there.
So it was interesting. It was fascinating. So
that's all I need.
It is fascinating because it's like that could even be the future into where they make it into like the houses that we live in now, but made out of those materials and reuse them and get rid of waste. And I don't know, that could go far.
Yeah, well, the guy who started the community was what do you call it? I was going to say an archaeologist, an architect. That was his degree. He was an architect, and originally he did it just for him, like built himself a home, and then it just kind of evolved from there, or whatever. And so
like putting his degree to use.
Yeah, well, what happened was he moved to New Mexico to race, and especially that particular part because they have a lot of dirt bike racing, right? Motocross. It was during the Vietnam War, and he got into that because he wanted to get hurt so that he couldn't go to the Vietnam War, right? So he was like, I'll race, motorbike. I'll get hurt. Won't go to Vietnam, right? What happened was because all the other dudes didn't want to get hurt, right? It made him dangerous, which by default, he ended up becoming good at it, right? Like he started winning because if you're a psychopath, right? So anyways, it evolved and he was able to have a little bit of money and and do his thing. And so and it just evolved, and then it evolved into a community. And so what's fascinating to me is I've even thought, because I'm hoping next year, there's a particular piece of land that I've been looking at that, I would like to purchase and build like my dream home on that piece of land. And I thought to myself, like, could I be off the grid in an urban environment, right? Like, is it possible? Right. So that's fascinated me. Like, could I have enough solar? Like, because I don't know. Like, I'm not a handy guy. But they basically answered my questions that, yeah, as long as if you build it that way, you literally can build it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's possible to build it off the grid. Right. It's just
are these all your like late night thoughts? Like you're thinking of like,
yes. Well,
here's why. Late night thoughts.
Well, here's why. And we have about 15 minutes left, but here's why. Because in the back of my head, I'm always preparing for the zombie apocalypse. Okay. I have a literal written contingency plan for the zombie apocalypse, right?
I'm from your house then if it happens. You've been preparing for this.
Yeah, because I'm even building, like my specs for my home are built specifically for that in mind. Understanding that not just zombies, but looters and other crazy people are going to come. Like, for example, there's this new actually Tesla developed it for their new vehicle, right? But there's a new glass that's thinner, right, than the typical bulletproof glass. Typically, bulletproof glass is very thick. It's not even a glass. It's actually like it's a metal that when polished a certain way is see-through and looks like glass, but it's actually a metal, right? And so I was like, yo, what if you just did all of your windows in that manner, right? Follow me. Hey.
He said if anyone comes and does the drive-by, they ain't getting in.
Nah, they not getting nowhere close. When you build your walls, you reinforce them with rebarb, you know what I'm saying? So like you could literally drive a truck into it and it's gonna stop, right? And if you build your like a fortress, then you can hunker down, right? Because the biggest thing that's gonna be an issue in the apocalypse is food, obviously, and shelter, right? Well, if you could hunker down, right, you can.
I know. What do you need to say?
I am legend. I am legend.
Yes. No, but the difference is his was aftermarket, right? So that's how at the end, and if you watch I Am Legend, like the zombie things were able to get in because he just put stuff on top of. But if you build it already that way, if you build it where also as an extra measure of protection, you instead of having the remember he had the shutters that closed and then he put the lock. You have the ones that are built into the frame. So it comes down from the top, rolls down, covers the entire entrance. So there is no getting in there. Plus, as an extra measure, I'm giving y'all all my secrets.
Zombies.
On that, I mean, like, it could. I'm not saying, I don't know if there's I'm not trying to install fear or anything, but
choose your words. Choose your words.
I remember reading an article a couple years back about how Germany was experimenting and just trying to figure out what this fungus was because it was taking over the corpses of ants and controlling it. Like the fungus was doing that.
I saw that.
Yeah. Okay. So what they were trying to do was to see if this is can affect other bigger insects or like animals, because if it does, then that
it was a zombie fungus.
Huge problem because it's taking over the brain and then controlling it, like just of ants. And so, I mean, that ever since then, I was like, what?
They were zombie ants, legit zombie ants. So we got 2 minutes. So I want to say this, ladies and gentlemen. I know, and I said this in the beginning, but I know that we're going through a lot. Right. We've said this before. We came through one of the toughest years in the history of not just our country, but our world. Right. 2021 has been a little bit interesting it went from literally went from pandemic, Black Lives Matter, shutdown to vax, no vax, to Afghanistan, to, at some point,
a new history book that is soon to come out of 2021 or
2020 to 2021. So, and this is something I've had to tell myself is this: even if they don't agree with you, you don't have to hate them, right? Even if you don't agree with them and you think they're absolutely ludicrous and ridiculous, it doesn't have to change the energy of your day. That's all. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, this is the division that is happening within our country and in our world is literally evil, right? And I know it's hard to not get wrapped up in it because it's so overwhelming sometimes. But the way we close out the show, and I mean this, I legit believe that literally what we need to do is walk in love more every day. If we walk in love, call me idealistic, but I believe we can find a solution to all that ails us. So that being said, Lily and Fran, you got anything else to say before we get out of here?
Go ahead, Lily. I'll let you go first.
Well, I just wanted to say real quick that we need to protect the animals. As the 6-year-old orca, Amaya was dead in the death was unknown. So there's a lot of questions rising with SeaWorld because, there are a lot of orcas just dying suddenly, without a serious cause of at least disease. And it's questionable. So, free the orcas, don't let them in cages for human pleasurement. Just like to say that.
For me, say some prayers for the children over there in Afghanistan, because if you know how your childhood was, can you imagine being separated from your parents? So just say some prayers for the children.
For sure. So with that, we appreciate y'all. We hope you have an amazing weekend, that you're blessed beyond measure. And as always, reach for your best, reach for success, but most of all, reach for God, because God is love and love is everything, man. We'll see y'all next week, Lord willing.
Bye.
Oh my.